Previous video, I was able to show you the tool that actually goes to X spaces, downloads the call, transcribes it using Whisper, and then summarizes using Claude, right? Since then, I've built 4 new additional features that I want to cover. So let's jump into it. So number 1, it's email delivery, essentially taking the output and delivering as an email. 2, catch-up processing. So sometimes I had cases where the tool didn't run for whatever reason, or the laptop was asleep, and I was missing certain information, right? So catch-up processing solves that problem. 3, it's a ticker watch lists. I want to be able to check against my pages. And then number 4, it's Notion synchronization. Let's jump into it. So number 1, it's email delivery. So there are a couple items that I was able to build into the tool to support email delivery, right? So this is a summary of the email. As you can see, it gives you fairly detailed explanation of what happened in a call, right? So it gives me a quick overview. Give me market and insights, right, from various presenters in a call, discusses any portfolio moves, then also gives me information about the stocks and tickers that have been mentioned, right? So whether they're bullish, neutral, bearish, and whatnot, right? And then kind of key themes that were discussed, right? Lastly, there is kind of guest highlights. Again, this call is hosted by sometimes 4 or 5 people or more, so it gives me kind of a summary of what each presenter have described, right? So this is one example. This is another example from a different day, right? Very similar, but gives me a probably 5-minute read time to give me kind of quick glance of where everything is. So let's jump into actually what I've built, right? So email delivery, it's really relatively simple, right? It uses just SMTP processing to deliver the email. As you can see, this Python script, it's relatively simple, right? So send email summary. It really takes the markdown file that the processor already created, right? Modifies it and creates into a HTML body. And then it delivers the final result as I showed you, right? So very simple, but very useful. You just only have to supply your parameters through environment file, which I'll show you later, right? So SMTP host, user, password, and where you want to email to. So that's number 1. Okay, number 2, it's catch-up processing. So as I mentioned, sometimes where the laptop is asleep or whatnot, right? The routine process wouldn't run. Therefore, I would miss summarization. Catch-up processing solves that, right? So, and it solves it in a very simple way. I have a state.json file, which essentially gives me a line-by-line summary of what has been processed, right? So, for instance, for this one, there is this ID with this URL on this account and other information. Over here, it tells me, right, was processed when, right? And you can see for each call, it just increments and appends to file, right? So relatively simple. The check and run .py, it's the code that governs this. Again, it takes as input the state.json file, and then runs through, connects to the stocks, stock spaces, and then transcribes what has already happened, right? So very simple. But very effective at maintaining the state, so I don't process, all the information, right? Here also you can see various attributes, and they're also defined at the very bottom as well, where you can see, whether email it's enabled. There's match list, where essentially whether the tickets are mentioned, and this is actually it's more useful at the very bottom, right? I can see. So this is, for instance, for one of the recent calls. Summary path, processed when, it was on the 25th, which was yesterday. Email has been sent, when the email has been sent, the tickers that have been mentioned, right? So throughout the call, the presenters mentioned the tickers, right? And then my watch list, which I can show you in a second, contains the stickers. So it kind of gives me a match and kind of critical alert, right? So it also gives me a indication or attributes, right, whether the alerts have been sent, and then whether the Notion synchronization has been enabled, right? So my watch list file, it's relatively simple. This is just a whole bunch of stocks that currently my Yahoo Finance pages it's tracking. This is just a simple copy. There's no integration whatsoever, but that's what the state.json is referring to, right? As part of the check and run, what I was able to build, it's this alert notification, right? Which is the ticker alerts code over here. So the reasoning behind it and kind of the future behind it, right? Those presenters, they mention tons of different tickers. A lot of them I'm not interested whatsoever, right? But there are certain ones that I am, right? So I want to be notified that has happened, right? So for instance, if you look at my email, you can see in this call, those guys mentioned those tickers, and I'm going to get email with kind of as soon as the processing happens, right? So coming back to state.json, the check and run NPY and ticker that alerts, that kind of governs that whole process, right? Of getting the history, maintaining the history, right? And then notifying me as necessary. So that's feature number 2. Okay. Feature number 3, it's Notion synchronizations. That's where I've built a Notion database, and I can actually show you over here. It's a relatively simple one. For now, at least, I'm planning to expand it, right? So gives me a history of the runtime, the date, which account, which speaker, gives me the URL and kind of the tickers mentioned. As I said, I intend to expand that capability, right? But gives me the history of all of the information that has been pushed. You know, again, you have to supply your own Notion endpoint information, including the token and the database ID, which it's free. You don't need anything else to create it, right? This Notion synchronization script, it's actually runs through the state.json. As you can see, there's settings at the very bottom. You know, Notion synchronization enable, it's true. When was the last time synced? What was the page ID that was updated? Very simple, but very effective. And as I mentioned, my intention is to continue to expand this. You have to supply a couple additional information, right? So SMTP information, again, that's required to send the email, and where you want to send the email to. The watchlist file, it's optional. If you have specific tickers, you can supply those, and the system will use them to kind of cross-check it. And then the last one, it's Notion synchronization details, right? So very simple, as I mentioned, right? There's also a dry run script capability where you can just execute it, right, with Python from the command prompt and bypassing -- dry run. If I run it, you can see it will execute it to see if there's any updates. Right now there's nothing to update. Folder-wise, nothing really has changed. There's the log file structure that it was already available as part of the previous one, right? There's the output folder. That's where all of the recordings, summaries, all of it, it's stored over here, right? So in summary, those 4 updates are kind of continue to enrich the tool, and I'm planning to expand it even more, right? So right now the capability are as follows. So download through the yt-dlp. Transcribe, I'm using Whisper, as I mentioned. Summarization, it's Claude via the Claude API. Deliver, that's all. Deliver, alert, and archive, that's all governed through a Python script that has been written with by Claude. So relatively simple set of capabilities, but very useful. So feel free to look at the GitHub page and download the latest source code. I've pushed the latest set of changes. Let me know in the video comment or in the GitHub if you'd like to make any changes and the features that you want me to request. Thanks for joining.